Now I know what you're thinking. It's either one of two things. 1. Come on, Splash Dash. The UI in Sonic the Hedgehog games? How desperate are you for topics at this point? And 2. What the hell does UI mean? And you're both right. I am having a competition with myself. I am making it my mission to take as many random, unimportant aspects of Sonic games that I randomly think about from time to time and turn them into video topics. And what the hell does UI mean? Well, UI stands for User Interface. Basically, it's something that a player interacts with to carry out a task. But I also want to use this opportunity to talk about the HUDs of Sonic games. HUDs and UIs kind of go hand in hand, I think, so I just figured I'd put them in the same video. A HUD, or heads-up display, is something that is used to visually convey something to a player. In the case of Sonic the Hedgehog, an example would be a ring counter or the timer. But what else is there to talk about? Seems like you've summed it up pretty well. And while that is true, we have defined what they are, but not every Sonic game has them the same. I mean, yeah, they all have similar themes like how many rings you have, a life counter, etc., but not all of them are equal. Some are pretty good, some are perfect, and some are really fucking bad. So today let's discuss the topic of Sonic the Hedgehog UI, and go over a majority of the mainline Sonic games to see not only which has the best and worst UI, but what makes them good and bad. Obviously starting at the beginning with Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles.
Yay!
All the classic Sonic games have largely the same HUDs, apart from one or two minor differences that I'll point out, but for the most part it remains pretty consistent throughout the trilogy, so I figured I'd just lump them all together. Special shoutouts though go to Sonic 3's Save Select screen. That's a nice screen, and look at that music! I mean, listen to the music. They all decided to keep things fairly simple. All we got is a timer, score count, and ring counter in the top left. Although I gotta say, I do like that the text is slightly skewed to the right. Makes it a little more interesting and stylish, and the yellow color with a harsh black drop shadow causes it to stand out a lot too, especially against the blues of the skies and levels such as Green Hill, Emerald Hill, Hilltop, a lot of hills. The life counter is also pretty basic but gets the job done. I like that it displays the name of the character you're playing as though, and updates the icon too. That may seem obvious now, but there are games that even nowadays don't do that kind of attention to detail. I remember being really disappointed by the Crash End Scene trilogy. They didn't update the Crash icon to show Coco when you're playing as her. That's very nitpicky, I know. Wanna know what else is nitpicky? I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the white streak they add to the yellow text in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I also don't like that they made the drop shadow a dark blue and straightened the text so it was no longer skewed. I get why they'd done this in theory. It's so that it doesn't stand out as much, and I suppose by that logic immerses you in the world more. But I don't know, it's like the first style more. Not that I'm a hater of this one or anything, I could honestly just take it or leave it doesn't ruin it. I just like the other style better, that's all. Also, last of all, the Sonic 1 act transitions are boring, the Sonic 2 ones are perfect, and the Sonic 3 ones are okay. It's cool that it comes on screen without disrupting the flow by fading to black. I just wish this palm tree wasn't there for all of them. It fits Free Angel Island but no other zone in the game. Should have had a unique one every zone. Still though, as a whole, the classic Sonic games have pretty good HUDs. I like them a lot. The font they use is also great, it's very show-tune, play-like if that makes any sense. Which fits in with the levels being referred to as acts. But with that, let's move on to the adventure era. I'm skipping past 3D Blast, CD, and Chaotic since they all go for a similar vibe. Let's just head right onto the series' jump to 3D, and look at how the UI and HUDs changed with it. Sonic Adventure. For as massive a leap Sonic Adventure was from the classics in terms of aesthetics, I was surprised to realize that the HUD didn't really change that much. I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but despite that, it looks really, really ugly. First of all, the UI. In the menus, we have these awful bright blue bubble boxes that have no style or flair whatsoever, with the most basic font imaginable and a shitty gradient. I really hate how these look. Even as a kid, I thought they came off as so cheap. I get it was their first attempt at a true 3D Sonic game, so menu design wasn't at the top of their priority list, but I don't know, I just wish more care were put into it. It seems they were like, what font should we use here? Whatever, lunch is in 5 minutes. And picked whatever one they saw first. Why does the now saving icon look all pixelated like this? It stands out so much compared to everything else. The in-game stuff isn't much better. To start, I really am not a fan of the act opening screens. It's like we had the perfect approaches to it with Sonic 2 and 3, but for some reason they felt the need to copy Sonic 1's approach. Only difference is that while it is a nice touch that each character has a unique color to represent them on the screen, all it does is cause the rest of it to stand out more. Why is there so much black space here? It's so boring to look at. At least in Sonic 1 it was white on black, so the text really stood out. When you're playing as E102 Gamma, it's fucking white and grey and black. What a cool loading screen. I do at least like that for hub world loading screens we see a small model of what it looks like, such as a city for Station Square, temples for the Mystic Ruins, and the egg carrier for the egg carrier. I don't even really like the HUD we see while playing. Again, despite literally being a carbon copy of the one from the classics, only with the removal of the score count, I guess Sega finally realized they were becoming archaic. The only plus I can give it, much like the loading screens, is that the life count changes depending on what character you use. But the games from the early 90s did that, so this isn't much of an accomplishment. It really just comes down to the fonts to me. They're so boring. There's no style to any of this, no flair to be seen. It's just beat Sonic to the capsule and destroy it. Whoa, calm down there, Pedro, with the exclamation point. We wouldn't want to seem like we're having too much fun, would we? I gotta reiterate, this shit is pointless when it comes down to the overall game, I know. The menu and text looking like this doesn't affect the game in any way. And it may seem like I'm just being harsh towards Adventure, but it's in my top 5 Sonic games of all time. It's number 5, but hey, it's still there. I just hate the UI and HUDs in the game, however, because they come off as so amateur. That's because they were. So let's just hope that they get better with our next entry, Sonic Adventure 2. Dang! Now this ain't so bad. Sonic Adventure 2 overall just improves upon the visuals of Adventure 1 tenfold, and its menu design is the prime example of that. Everything on this start screen just fucking pumps you up and gets you ready for the lackluster adventure that awaits. Oops, did I just say that? But still, that's that too. Props to you, because this shit is dope as fuck. The playable characters scrolling behind you with these cool little fucking orb things, like, what are those, like, colored lens flares? Who cares? It's cool. Then every time you hit a button, it's like... This video isn't about sound design, but if it were, then that noise, it would be top tier. Gonna have to dock a couple points for the excessive use of Comic Sans though. SA2 has way better loading screens compared to SA1. You know, there's actually some motion to it, with the Sonic Adventure 2 name coming into the left, the spin dash icon coming into place. But when that mission appears in Comic fucking Sans, it just takes me out of it. I hate being able to easily recognize basic common fonts in games. That's not their fault though, they didn't know Comic Sans would become a meme, so I'll let it slide for now, Sega. And in the levels themselves, it just seems like they've taken the same format from Sonic Adventure 1, but made everything about it so much more streamlined. Instead of these big bulky boxes with the characters in it to represent lives, we get the much more simple profile shot of them. The font is a lot more unique and clear to read, and we actually have the re-edition of the score meter. Adventure 2 was the first Sonic game to have a ranking system, so I can see why they wanted to bring it back, and I appreciate the slight outlines they give to it. Makes it stand out a little bit more without being too overbearing. Speaking of, I like the white outline given to the ring as well. Damn, I like everything about the HUD and UI in this game, it's amazing. They've done it, they've perfected it. Now all they gotta do is stick to this and we're golden. Sure, it would be a shame if the next game introduced some random mechanic that would require a completely unique HUD. Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes is a mixed bag, honestly. It's got a lot of stuff that I really like, but also a lot that I'm not so fond of. Yes, I am very capable of criticizing my favorite game ever made, don't act so surprised. To start, I really love the menus. This adventure aimed to be a lot more laid back and less serious compared to Adventure 2, and these portray that very well. They're also colorful, and I love the scrolling text going through the backgrounds. The menus are very busy, but they're never to the point of being distracting. Like, I love that every time you go to a different option, the hero symbol rotates a little bit. It's a neat touch. Small detail, but I also love the little icons they use for multiplayer modes. They're simple, but effective. Also, using 3D character models on the selection menu just looks so much better to me than 2D artwork. I don't know why. I guess I just like seeing them do a cool little animation when I click on them. Very reminiscent of Adventure 1. Although it did always bother me as a kid that they were called Team Sonic and not Team Hero like in other games. They're not called Team Shadow or Team Amy. Jeez, Sonic, get your ego in check. The loading screen also looks great, combining the classic Sonic 2 color scheme with features from the adventure games, such as the tagline in the bottom telling you what your mission is. This rotating hero symbol is also really cool. I love the games had these where it would get faster or slower depending on how fucked up your disc was. Despite all that praise, however, this is all the menu design. We've still got the actual gameplay HUD to take a look at, and it isn't the worst, I suppose, but I think there's a lot that prevents it from being great. First of all, the font they use is way too big and bulky. I really don't like how much of the screen this thing takes up. And it only gets worse once you get a special stage key and it just awkwardly gets dropped right below it. I get they did this with the Chow key too, but not only was that optional, you know, if you want to beat this game, you're pretty much forced to get the keys, but the design for them is also super fucking weird. As a kid, I had no fucking clue what these did because it's not a great indication that the key unlocks a special stage. Like, why a key? You know what else I didn't have a clue about? Those 3 little dots below your character. Of course, now I understand that they represent the level up system, with each dot being 1 level, but it's so small that as a kid I had no idea what it was there for. Now, I'm definitely thinking about this more from the perspective of making things readable for kids, so if anyone else played Sonic Heroes at the age of 5, let me know if you also had trouble figuring this stuff out. Was I just an idiot? Don't answer that. I do like the way they show you which character you're playing as, though. It looks neat, and having the team blast gauge right above it does a good job at keeping things relatively compact. You know, you don't have to be looking all over the screen for each different thing. Top left for ring count time and score, and top right for everything else. Overall, like I said, Heroes is a mixed bag. They do a lot I like and an equal amount of stuff I don't like. But I definitely wouldn't call it bad by any means, it's just not as good as Adventure 2. Although, like I said, I think the menu design is some of the best we've had so far. You know what definitely isn't as good as Asset 2's, though? This shit's lame. First of all, what is going on in this menu? It's just too much. Whereas with Sonic Heroes, I felt like the busy background managed to strike a balance between visually varied but readable. This one falls right into the trap it was able to avoid. Because, well, just look at it. These menus are just generic PNGs of shadow with some barely legible text on the side reading, Ultimate Life Form, with a burning city, what appears to be dirt of some sort, and for some bizarre reason this little streak is scrolling across the screen. Where's it going? This is also like the most boring font ever. What is this shit? It at least looks okay on the loading screen, I guess. I like everything going on here, but like, what is with all this empty space? You have this one single random red streak going diagonally across the screen, but then for some reason when the stage is about to load in, another one slowly feeds in and then just like starts spinning for half a second. Okay. Speaking of okay, the HUD. I like that they moved the ring counter down to the bottom left, because it causes the top screen to be well less cluttered. Although I'm not a fan of the fact that the counter slightly overlaps with the ring PNG. I can never not unsee that now. But I am a big fan of the top layout. It's smart to have the left side of the screen represent your bad side, and the right to represent your good. Even switching the mission icon to the side you're helping makes it easy to quickly see which side you're aligned to, especially since the game for some fucking reason decides to automatically switch your sides when you pass one of the main cast. Also smart of them to stick the timer right in the middle. They're very space efficient in the way they designed this HUD. That is possibly the only compliment you're going to see me give this game, however, because I still think it's a huge pile of shit. Seriously, how people think this is genuinely better than Sonic Heroes is beyond me. Last thing I'll talk about before moving on. But I really am not a fan of the shitty font they use during the results screen. It looks like Baby's first attempt at being an edgelord. And I mean, hey, I guess this was the first. Let's just move on. I think you get the point. This is probably the worst I've seen so far. Let's hope it improves. Sonic 06. Sonic 06 has one of the coolest fucking menus in the entire series. This shit is fucking slick. Being seen as a soft reboot of the franchise, aiming to take Sonic into a new age. Sonic 06 tries to keep things simple. The menu focuses on 2 colors if we don't count the white, which I don't because white isn't a color. Are you impressed with my epic color theory knowledge? But yeah, no, this looks great. It's super stylish and new while still being reminiscent of what came before, such as the character select which, akin to Heroes, is very similar to the one present in Sonic Adventure. If I were to have one minor nitpick, it's that I don't like how much empty space they have off to the right hand side, only showing you the life icon and ring count, but who cares, the rest of it is just too cool to care. The loading screens have also seen a massive change in appearance. Instead of simply featuring the name of the zone on a black backdrop with some added shapes and colors, we instead have an image showing you what the stage you're going to will look like. The name of said stage, your mission objective, which is actually very helpful in this game, and depending on the type of place you're going to, you get a different screen in the middle. For hub worlds you get a map, which is actually very not helpful because fucking look at this thing. And for normal action stages you get some very useful hints such as XX and A. But I honestly think this change was for the better, perhaps unintentionally. See, as we all know, Sonic 06 has infamously long loading times, sometimes getting as long as 30 seconds. And because of this, it works out that the loading screen is a bit busier. There's simply more stuff to look at for a prolonged amount of time. You have no idea how much my time was spent as a kid playing this game and just going, vroom, vroom. In regards to the stages themselves, the HUD is honestly pretty mid. I love almost everything about it, with the main thing being this blue bar they have come in from off screen so that your life, score, ring, and time counter are more easily visible on screen. However, I don't like that they keep this bar on screen for Sonic in the bottom right. Not just because Sonic Team didn't have enough time to finish the game, and therefore the gauge never really depletes, rendering it useless, but also because you don't even get the items that you use this bar for until you're like halfway through Sonic's campaign, yet it's there from the start and all I could do as a kid was wonder what the fuck this thing was for. That was minor, however. This final thing though, it's catastrophic, and I have to suspect this is why Sonic 06 got such low review scores. I don't like the font. Yeah, I just don't like it. I feel like going for that whole calculator style doesn't fit Sonic very well, and in fact hinders my visibility while playing. Mainly the 0, it's got this dumbass line going through it. And with the numbers being so small and compact on the screen, I have to take a split second to go, wait, how many rings is that? 0 or 8 or... I know that may seem minor, but in a Sonic game where I'm trying to always keep on the move, I shouldn't have to spend a second having to look at my ring count to make sure I'm reading it right. It should be something that I can already perfectly see from the corner of my eye. Whatever, maybe I'm blind, need to get my eyes checked. Either way, Sonic 06, pretty alright UI, not much to complain about. And to continue with this theme of not much to complain about, Sonic Unleashed. Sonic Unleashed has a great way for making sense of its very non-Sonic-y way of presenting its menus, with them being very computer-like and having a focus on the color green. And that's through this newly introduced Miles Electric. This thing is a little device Teal started carrying around to give him information on different stuff, and has stuck around ever since its introduction in this game, even being featured in the upcoming Sonic 2. If this video comes out before the movie comes out, I've been working on this video for like fucking 3 months. Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the Miles Electric in general. I don't like that the characters have access to this infinite knowledge machine. Okay, well maybe not infinite, but you know what I mean. I much prefer when it's just Sonic and the crew saving the day with nothing other than the fur on their backs. But I can honestly take it or leave it, I'm not losing any sleep at night over its inclusion. And like I alluded to before, I think it's implemented perfectly in Unleashed, with the menus, world map, and loading screen all being presented on the screen of the Miles Electric, which therefore justifies the more technological look of the presentation. Does that mean I like it? I mean, green wouldn't have been my first choice, and I still don't think it really fits a Sonic game. But I have to commend Sonic Team on attempting something new here. It ties everything in nicely, and the globe being at the center of the menu makes sense as this is literally a globe-trotting adventure. In the levels, Sonic Unleashed aims to continue the trend started in 06, and trying to keep everything small and compact does not take your immersion out of what's happening on screen. But unlike that game, this one doesn't use a font that I have to wear fucking reading glasses to even legibly make out. I also like that they changed the life icon to the Sonic Team symbol, much simpler. Much like Shadow, however, the ring count has been moved to the bottom left again, alongside with the brand new boost gauge, which is oddly named Ring Energy in this game and only this game, I guess because they started using wisps, didn't they? I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. For some reason, the boost goes down in small segments instead of a gradually decreasing bar. This makes sense in the Wii version, where your boost is for some ungodly reason separated into individual bursts of speed, but here there's no reason for it to behave like that. There's also the inclusion of a fucking speedometer, which increases the faster Sonic goes. I just don't see the point. There's not even a number to go along with it, so what's its purpose? But then when you hit a checkpoint, this number comes in from the right telling you how fast you were going in SPD. Oh great, I was going 795 SPD. What a relief, last time I only got 792. That is something I like though, the fact that it only comes in when it's changing. The same thing is done with the experience bar and sun and moon medal counts. They only appear when you collect one of them, and it's a good means of making the screen less cluttered. That's definitely something games are aiming to do nowadays, making the experience as immersive as possible, by making the HUD unintrusive, which is definitely a good thing. I probably still like the one present in Adventure 2 and Heroes more, but this was a great, unique attempt at making the adventure feel cohesive and seamless, which definitely seemed like a goal of theirs while making it. So congratulations, Sonic Team. You did good. Sonic Colors runs with this more technology-focused theme, with the whole thing taking place in planets taken over by Eggman. I guess it makes sense. But hey, at least they went from green to a variety of blues. That was definitely for the better. But I don't know, there's something about colors that just feels so cheap. Maybe it's because it's a Wii game and I can only imagine it had a much smaller budget compared to Unleashed, but there's just no style to this whatsoever. We have level selection screens now with a 3D model of Sonic slapped on top of a moving background, with these basic-ass purple lines connecting each act. I don't know, I just don't really like it. I don't really know why, other than the fact that it just has no, like, style or flair to it whatsoever. The only thing I like about it is the way the yellow cursor goes when you highlight a planet, and the little icons they use for the wisps when you collect them, but other than that, it's just boring. Sorry, that's all I got. Alright, let's see what they have. Oh my god. Sonic Generations has the best aesthetic of any Sonic game, second to none. I love everything about it. What style colors was missing, Generations has in spades. In a game where everything takes place within a white void, you can tell Sonic Team did their damnedest to make this game's menu and HUD visually interesting. Even something as simple as selecting an option on the menu is met with a flurry of abstract shapes and colors flying out of it, akin to the ones used on the Japanese box art for the classic Sonic games. Going to the options screen has these little shapes fly in to act as borders. I especially love the triangular bottom and top that are going diagonally across the screen. The loading screens are the same as Sonic 2's but amped up to 11. With plenty more shapes filling up the screen, everything is so busy. But this is completely unified throughout the rest of the game. The loading screens, the text boxes, the backgrounds of the timer, ring count, and boost. When you complete a trick, the same shapes from before shoot out from the screen, like hell, even in the credits. All the text have multiple colorful borders that only make them stand out greater. How could you not love the presentation of this game? There are no critiques here. This is perfection. It takes what worked before and amplifies it. That's all I could want, but what if you were to go even further beyond? They don't. What the fuck is this? It's like they're trying to go for the same style as Generations, but don't want to put the time in to actually make it look like that. Generations look like it had actual care put into it. Lost World looks like they just made a bunch of basic Sonic E assets, threw them into Photoshop, and added a black stroke effect to them all. It doesn't look bad by any means, but when compared to what came before, it's just like, come on, it was going so good. If I had any compliments here, it would be that they finally decided to get rid of the entire HUD when it's not being changed. It's nice to be able to view the entire screen without any intrusions in a Sonic game, but I didn't mind the permanent HUD and gens because it just looked so fucking cool. Even the loading screens are confusing, like, why did you choose blue, white, and black? What is this game's obsession with white and black? I don't understand. The best thing about this game's presentation is the font. It's actually unique and not fucking Comic Sans or some shit. Being called Sonic Lost World, it makes sense for the font it uses to be wacky and different, but for the most part, this game's presentation is just whatever. I don't have a lot to say about Mania, so I'll be quick. It takes everything good about the presentation of the classics and further improves upon it. Mainly them adding blue outlines to all the text to further make them stand out, and also the new Lives icon is neat. They also got a pretty cool loading screen that fits with the box art colors. You know what's next. Oh boy, here I fucking go, bitching about Sonic Forces again, everybody's favorite part of the day. I'll give them credit where credit is due. There was at the very least an attempt to make the aesthetic of the menus and hub fit the theming of the game. But like Lost World, my main complaint is that I don't push it far enough. The main screen is so boring. An empty room with all the options sitting off to the side with a PNG of the Sonic Forces logo slapped onto the top left. Why not open with that neat little animation they used to play at the end of trailers? What happened to Sonic games having little CG openings in general? I think this is like the only one not to have one since... Well, no, all the 3D Sonic games had one. This would be alright if the base got busier as the game went on. More recruits start to fill it, we see the current mission on the screen, but no, it just remains the exact same until the very end where it's just white. What is this to represent?
Everything is chrome in the future.
Now see, I like the loading screens. The use of solid, bold colors allows everything to stand out. And the choice of beige, black, and dark reds was surely intentional, trying to replicate old communist artwork and propaganda. And the glitchy square effect that comes in does a good job at reflecting Infinite, who often uses these red glitchy cubes as his main form of attacking. But I just don't think any of this goes far enough. The world map, for example. There's nothing bad about this inherently, it doesn't look wrong or anything, but it is a bit boring though, right? This game is taking inspiration from one of the most famous types of propaganda in history, and they pull it off fine, but with no flair about it at all. I think, and I'm gonna regret saying this, but I think Sonic Team should take a look over at Persona 5. Shouldn't be hard since Sega owns both of these games. While that game doesn't have the same inspiration, it definitely uses a lot of similar colors, being very defined and bold, but they pulled off with so much style. Things fly in and out off the screen with a ton of personality. It's a very visually appealing style, but Sonic Forces just gets by from accomplishing the bare minimum. Like, look at this in-game HUD, it's just black bars. Could you not have done a bit more, guys? I don't know, I think there's a lot to be taken away from this video, and it's that the UI and HUDs for Sonic games are not something to be overlooked. There's a group of people out there who have to sit and intentionally figure out the most minor details. Most people wouldn't even notice. The right colors, the right font, the right style. And some Sonic games clearly have more effort put into them compared to others. If I were to give my favorites, it would obviously be Generations with Adventure 2 and Heroes following behind. But at the bottom of the list I'd say Shadow the Hedgehog Adventure 1 in colors. With the development of Sonic Frontiers being the longest wait we've ever had to endure for the release of a new Sonic game, I hope that Sega are truly putting in the effort on all fronts. Not just with the gameplay and graphics, but with its overall presentation too. I don't think I can get any more random, guys. This might take the cake. I mean, what could I do next? Which Sonic game has the best grass? Wait, now that I mention it...